This one is a 2.5 kg dumbbell and this one is 1.5 kg. Nowadays I have just started doing biceps curl in the morning and it depends on my mood which one I'll use. Now don't laugh on me because these are very less weights. This is just my beginning guys, okay? So if I'm in a mood to do like more reps, I'll go for this one. If I want to do less, I'll go for this one. What I'm trying to tell you is based on this situation and based on what we want to achieve, we choose our tools. In this video, I'm going to tell you how do you choose between a closed source LLM and an open source LLM depending on your situation. Let's start without any delay. Let's understand this very important topic which will be useful to you whenever you are making a decision between open source and closed source large language models. Now, to keep it very simple, what is a open source LLM and what is a closed source LLM? So open source LLMs are the LLMs which are free to use and the model details, for example, model weights, etc. is in public. And closed source LLMs are the LLMs which are paid. So if you have to use these LLMs, you need to pay to the company, and company does not normally give you the model details like weights or training mechanism or data used, etc. The obvious thing is why companies do like this. So if you are working on a free or open source model, normally it is for the community and companies think that okay, community can use it and improve it as well. Whereas on the paid side, on the closed source side, companies think that this is our thing, our secret. So let's just sell it to the market and we will never tell how did we build it, right? Examples, very famous examples. Here all the Llama series of models from Meta are your open source models. Here ChatGPT is your closed source model. Very famous examples in these two categories. How do you use these two models are very important guys. For using open source models, what you have to do is you have to normally host it in your machine or in your infra or in your environment, right? So here via hosting you can use it. Obviously you can use it via some softwares like Llama, etc. But normally in production you will host it in your infra and then use it, okay? On the other hand, if you are using a closed source model, what you will do normally in production is you will use API method. So every time you use ChatGPT through that chat.completion call, what you are doing is you are using this API method. Very simple. Open source free models, you have to host it. Closed source paid models, you will call it through APIs and pay for every request. Now comes the important part guys, okay? And this is what is most critical for this video. If you have to make a decision between closed source and open source, what are the things that you will consider? Now cost is one thing, but world is not this simple, right? So if cost is only one thing, then the decision is simple, right? So we can go and always go for open source, but that's not how it goes in the industry, okay? I am telling you my experience from industry, and please keep in mind guys, these things are not very easily available on internet. These are the things that is considered when leadership makes decision about which kind of models to go. I will give you 7 areas which you need to consider. The very first area is traffic. How much traffic you are expecting in your AI application. If you are expecting low to medium traffic, then you will go for closed source. And if you are expecting very high traffic, then you will go for open source. Why? As I told you, closed source models such as ChatGPT, you need to pay for every request that you make, okay? If your request is very high, then you can host the model, you can invest in the hosting and infra rather than spending money on every API call. Simple. This is one area that you need to consider. Other area that you need to consider is called data sensitivity, okay? Now as you know, when you are calling ChatGPT from your Python codes, when you are calling that API, you are sending prompts means nothing but data. If you are too particular about data sensitivity, then you never use closed source because you will call it through the API. You go for open source. Why? Because you will host it in your infra. Another factor, latency. If you are too particular about latency, like you want something around less than 200 milliseconds, then you go for closed. This is open is roughly greater than 500 milliseconds, just a ballpark number, not always true, but you can think like open source is slightly slower as compared to closed source because these guys make the models optimized for API calls. Okay, then one very important thing you need to consider, guys, and that is your engineering capability. This is how senior leaders think when they take decisions. What is your engineering capability? Do you have a good team of AI engineers? Do you have a good team of people who can build the infra, who can host the model, who can fix the incidents if it comes out in the production, etc.? If you have that, then you have to go for open source model. If you have a good capability, then you have to go for open source model because model cost here will be zero. Every cost will be infra cost only. And if you have a good infra team, let's say half of the infra is already there, then you go for open. If you are incapable in that, if your capability is low, okay, or limited, then you go for closed source model because you don't have the capability, you don't have the infra, and you are not interested in building that as well. So just make API calls and get the responses. If you want cost predictability, so what I mean by this is, suppose an AI application is getting built and you have to tell to someone what will be the monthly expenditure in this, and you want to have it roughly in the ballpark. You cannot be too much deviating from the prediction. So what I mean to say is, in 1 month you are making, let's say, 10 requests. In another month, if you are making 5,000 requests, right, then your predictability is not good, right? So what I mean to say is, if you used a closed source model, then your predictability is not good because if more requests comes, then cost will go high. If less requests come, cost will go low. So if you are too particular about predictability, then you should not go for closed source. You should go for open source. Why? Because open source is a fixed infra cost. Okay, so it will be more predictable. If you are looking for customization, lot of fine tuning, obviously your open source models are better for this because model weights, everything is shared with you, not the closed source model. And one more last important thing, if you have a traffic pattern which is variable, then you can go for closed source model, because now this is alone, if you see this might not make much sense, but basically you have to combine this with cost predictability. So just now I told you that cost predictability will be there if you have more or less same number of requests, but now I am saying if traffic patterns are variable, go for open closed source. You have to understand in conjunction here. Okay, so what is more important for you? So variable traffic means some months I will get 10 hits, some months I can get 10,000 hits, and I want to pay only for the number of hits. If it is fixed, then I will go for open source because infra cost is fixed here. So suppose you spend $500 on infra, this you have already invested, right? Now whatever 0 call or 10,000 call, that doesn't matter. So if you have a variable pattern, variable number of hits on your this one AI application, and you want to pay based on that, then closed source is better. But if you have a kind of fixed and high, then you go for open source. Fixed and high, remember that. Okay, now we have these 7 parameters based on which you can take a decision. Combination of this and conjunction of this. Basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a nice project and show you a very nice framework where you can decide that based on infra cost and based on number of requests, what is the break-even point where you should start considering the open source model. It's a very interesting framework, guys. Let me show you. So what you can see is a project in GitHub and the name is open versus closed LLM decision. I'm going to open the readme file here guys, and here I'm calling trade-off and decision framework. The same thing that we discussed. Closed LLM is always via API and open LLM is via local inference. Closed LLM is pay per token, latest models, data leaves premises. Open LLM is self-hosted, fixed cost and data stays local. Key trade-off again, same things that I explained you can read it later as well. Cost model, data privacy, customization, operational overhead, latency and best for. So here best for we are saying low to medium volume and variable traffic, because we don't want to pay fixed price if there is sometimes low traffic. Okay, and then high volume, sensitive data, customization, then you go for open LLM. Again, this is not like one you rule based, if this then this, if this then this. You have to take a decision based on combination of those 7 factors, right? So this is quick decision guide, again those things only. I'm going to show you a project in cursor now. Let me show you the project and then I will explain you the code. So this is my cursor. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to activate my virtual environment, and let me copy this virtual environment activation code and I will launch the application first. Activate the virtual environment, OpenAI key is there, and launch the application. Now one thing here guys, we are comparing open source versus closed source, so you need to have open source also running in your machine, and to do that you need to install Llama. If you don't know how to install Llama, I have a video. Just search Unfold Data Science Llama, you will get the Llama video. Once you have Llama installed, it's basically a desktop application. You can simply pull this model Gamma 3 1 billion, so you will have one closed source model to refer. That's the purpose here. Open source model to refer, and closed source anyway we have ChatGPT we can call. As you can see, I have 4 tabs here: closed, open via Llama, side by side comparison, and very important, my favorite, decision framework plus cost intuition. We will come back to these. Let's fire a query here. What is use of oil in pizza? Okay, so just any simple query I'm writing, and I will take this and paste, basically hit the open as well, Llama as well. This is for open, same thing I'm saying generate, and this is side by side, same thing we will say generate. Let it run. First one is closed source LLM. The response has come already. As you can see, latency is this much, 866 milliseconds, token is 276. Cost, because this is a closed source model, you will see the cost, right? This is the cost for 4O mini, this temperature, this maximum token. Fine. Open LLM will always be free and it will be slightly slower, so we should see cost here 0 and the response will come here. And then we have fired side by side also, so let this response also come, we will compare. Meanwhile, I want to show you this one. This one is my favorite and very, very important. You remember I told you for low to medium traffic and variable traffic, go for closed source LLM. So let's give a number here. I am giving 1000 requests per day. Okay, 1000 hits to my AI application per day. My average input token request is 500. My average output token request is again 500. You can change these numbers, okay? API price per 1 million token is 0.15. API price per 1 million output token is 0.6. And this is very important. Monthly infra cost if I am going for an open source model. This is a separate cost if I go for open source model. So let me make it 50. What I am telling here is I will spend $50 in infra if I use a open source model, extra $50 in infra. Whereas if I use a closed source model, I will use these things, this price of the model, this is my request, etc. Let's say calculate. You will see that monthly API cost is 11.25 based on this 1000 requests. Monthly self-host cost is infra only. So see here, this 50 directly will come here. Break-even requests is 4 fours. So imagine if your AI application is getting 4 requests every month, okay, and these are the numbers of your charges, and these is the size of your input and output prompts, and then you say calculate. What you will see is monthly API cost is also around 50 and self-host cost is also around 50. That means if I increase it to 5000, then I no need to use closed source model, I can go for open source model. Please digest this concept. So open source will give 50 only, and if you keep calling APIs, 56. Understand these differences very carefully, guys. This is how you make calculations. Okay, here I am taking fixed things. You can obviously change it based on the model of your choice, various models, and see. If I make 10,000 requests per day, okay, then see what happens. If you go for open, you will spend only 50 because this is an infra and this is fixed. If you go for closed, you will spend 112, more than double. This is where we say that if you have to go for low to medium volume, then go for closed. High volume, go for open. Just invest once in infra and you are done. And then it will give you sensitivity, compliance, customization, predictable cost. Engineering team should be good, obviously. So this is how the project is running. Now let's go to these things. Open also has come the request. Let's see side by side comparison here. See here, latency 8514, token this one, total cost this thing, GPT-4o mini, latency this much, estimated token, cost 0. This is critical here because we are talking about model cost. Open source model is free, infra cost separate. Okay, so here closed LLM 88.4% faster. Obviously it will be fast, right? Pay per use, open LLM model is free, infra cost is separate. So these things we have written in readme as well, and some guidance here. Used closed for low latency, low volume critical work. Use open for high volume batch processing sensitive data. And then routing is also important. You can route based on request characteristics. So this is what this project is doing. Now code walkthrough, very simple code, guys. You have a pricing.py where I have two model selection. You can see here GPT-4o mini, the pricing of that, GPT-4o pricing of that, get model pricing, calculate query cost. Simple. Okay, so we are calculating query cost that you saw in the front end. Okay, the calculation. The another file here is cost.py. What is the job of cost.py? It will calculate monthly API cost and it will calculate break even request. You remember we saw here break even request and monthly API cost. So this file is for that calculation. App.py is what you see in the Gradio UI. So everything that you see in the UI, the numbers it is fetching from the different scripts and bringing to you in the front end. Okay, and LLM client is, it will just run two functions, one for call closed LLM. As you can see, it will make a call to ChatGPT here. Okay, and one will be for open LLM. First it is checking Llama connection, it is getting available Llama models, and then it is calling the open LLM. Very simple scripts, guys. Nothing is complicated here. Okay, just 4 files: pricing, LLM client, cost, and app. And then this is requirements. Anyway, we need this. So very simple flow, very simple understanding, but very powerful framework. Every time you have to make a decision on going for open versus closed. So as I promised you guys, I am going to give you weapons to talk to your leadership, managers, bosses, decision makers, and stakeholders on implementing AI in production. And these are the things you need to know. Please give me a thumbs up, guys, if you like this kind of content. If you don't give me a comment, how will I know that you are liking the content? I'll see you in the next video. Wherever you are, stay safe and take care.